You know, I'm really mad at whoever does the scheduling for Star Trek. If they had just started this season 1 week earlier, we would have had our first Christmas episode of Star Trek. Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. It's EmceeFrodis, and we're blasting into the future with episode 12 of season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. There is a tide. So this episode picks up immediately from last week with the Emerald Chain taking over Discovery, and it's Die Hard. It's Die Hard on Discovery. They don't even make a secret how much it's Die Hard, because you've got Michael crawling through the Jeffries tubes and losing her shoes. Seriously, I can't believe this aired a week after Christmas. And you're gonna pull Die Hard on me and have it a week after Christmas. So this episode is definitely gearing up towards the finale, because we're getting this was an action-packed episode, wall-to-wall action. Well, not wall-to-wall action, because you did have these action set pieces, but then you had these quiet moments with Osira and Admiral Vance, and there was some very interesting political maneuvering going on. And as Osira was talking, she was almost starting to, like, convince me that what she was saying was a good idea. She's very persuasive, and having the hologram there saying that she's telling the truth. And you could see why Vance would be falling for what she's saying. But in the end, you do see that she's not a, magnanimous person. She's more concerned about herself than she is about anybody else. So if she's going to be held accountable for the terrible things she's done, she's not interested in helping anybody out. And certainly, based on her reaction on things, she would have found a way to screw over the Federation in the end. I'm a huge fan of Vance. I mean, of course, a big part of that has to do with the fact that I love Oded Fehr, have for years, and I love having him back on my screen. Please let him get through this season okay. But speaking of getting through this season okay, I am getting some heavy, heavy, heavy vibes. That book is not going to get through this season. I'm wondering if they've decided that Michael is going to have the Cartwright curse, in that basically Michael's not allowed to have a happy relationship, which is certainly a, thing that has been done for main characters, and it would definitely fit Michael's characterization to not be able to have a happy relationship. And there were a couple of points where I'm like, okay, is this going to be the time that book dies? So I'm not sure. It would not surprise me in the least if that happens next week. Probably the biggest thing that stood out to me in this episode was Stamets. I've been saying for weeks just how much I'm loving Stamets' relationship with Adira. I like how they interact together, and we can really see just how much that relationship has evolved, and how Stamets has adopted them. It was just stated outright in this episode. I have a husband and I have a child, and I couldn't believe it when he said that. I was like, oh my God, I knew you were thinking it, but I didn't know that you were aware that you were thinking it. So it's such a beautiful thing, and I can't wait to see what happens next week, because I did see the preview and I have feelings. But seeing his absolute despair, knowing that both Hugh and Adira were still on that planet, that they were dying. I might have laughed a little bit when Michael is trying to get Paul not to jump to go to the rescue of his family, because, Starfleet needs them more. Because if there's anybody on this show who is willing to put aside orders or the goods of anybody else to take care of their personal life, it's Michael. Like, Michael is always doing, stuff for personal reasons. So she was being a major hypocrite. But also her being a major hypocrite isn't out of character, so it was funny to me, but it tracks, but not in a bad way. I love Michael. And certainly I loved her in this. I loved her determination. I mean, Michael being John McClane just completely makes sense to me. And John McClane in a way that's like even more badass, because she loses her shoes because she's venting somebody out the airlocks. I mean, this season is really gearing up toward, like, I can't really judge things until I see what happens next week. It looks like it's gearing up to be a big finale, and we've had 2 episodes now building up to it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all works out. I think if I were to have one complaint about this episode, it was that it stayed entirely on the ship. I missed Saru and Culber and Ajira. I wanted to see them. Now, of course, not seeing them did heighten the drama because it stayed on the ship and made everything feel very claustrophobic. But we did cut away to Admiral Vance, so it's not like we were just on the ship. We were able to see outside of it. So, I mean, they could have gone to the other characters. And we know that they're not going to die before Discovery is able to get there. That just narratively doesn't work out. So I probably would have found some way to go back to them. And based on the preview, I'm going to say that my prediction from last week is probably correct, because they do have this big old shot of gray in there, which seemed very, conspicuous. So they might want to keep that reveal for the next episode. But personally, I think that would have made a really great final shot. Like, even if they had just, revisited the characters in the crash at the very end, and then had Adira turn up, I think that would have been a strong way to end things. Because the way we ended things with this episode, with the sphere data inhabiting the little robots and saying that they're going to help take back the ship, that isn't cliffhanger-y for me. That just tells me it's like, oh, they're going to be okay because they've got these, robots with all of this data that can be utilized. It kind of takes away some of the power of the peril that they're in. It's like, yes, we know that they're going to be okay. Meanwhile, if they had done something with the characters in the crash and they had revealed Adira and Gray, we would have been left with questions. Now, granted, I think I already know the answers to those questions, but I always think that ending cliffhangers on questions rather than calls to action are stronger. So, but that's just me. I thought it was a very good episode. It was certainly very action-packed, and it definitely kept going and going and going. I'm still wondering if we're going to get any more explanation as to what happened with the burn, or if we're just supposed to accept what was stated already. I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but I'll have to post a video next week about the season as a whole, because I'm still not sure what I feel about the season as a whole, but I can say that I did enjoy this episode. So comment down below with what you thought about There Is a Tide. And if you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I do lots of videos about Star Trek, Star Wars, Supernatural, Doctor Who, and other geeky things. If you want to support me, you can go to my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. You can also buy some of my geeky graphic designs over on TeePublic and Redbubble. Today I am wearing my Starfleet Pride shirt. So until next time, live long and may the Force be with you.